What is the happening, Cinephiles? This is Dan.
This is Zach.
And we are the Feature Fellas. Welcome to the Disaster Debates. Let's do this.
London dropped its dignity. Yeah. So has France and Germany. Yeah. All hands are dancing.
It is finally happening. Today we are looking at the notoriously bad and critically hated The Happening. Released in 2008 and directed by one of the most polarising directors around, Night Shyamalan, The Happening opened to a critical slap in the face. It holds 18% on Rotten Tomatoes, 5 on IMDb, which I thought was pretty shocking. Half, like a right down the middle, and a 2 on Letterboxd. Bit harsh, I agree, but we'll get into it. Bizarre little thriller. This one is what stopped Shyamalan in his tracks and becoming one of the most trustworthy directors of all time, in my opinion. With a string of hits under his belt before this was the downfall with films like this, The Village, and Lady in the Water. There was quite a few, and they were all weird. The Happening has one of the weirdest plot lines going and some of the strangest acting I've ever seen, but it's such a fascinating film to watch. So, without further ado, let's get into the review. So, opening credits. I feel like we have to just talk about that to begin with. Clouds in reverse.
Clouds in reverse.
Clouds are in reverse, and I feel like Night Shyamalan thought he did something really cool, and he didn't.
It just looks like The Simpsons, doesn't it? It really does.
It looks awful, and we can even touch on the music, which is so serious and brooding.
It is.
And it's all the way through. It's all the way through the film, and it is weird. It's too dark, and it's just too depressing. Yeah,
it's almost as if he made two separate films. 100%. Music and acting, as we'll go throughout. That music and the actual film itself are separate.
Massively different.
Massively different.
Opening credits are really, really long. They just kept going, and the credits keep going, and it keeps going, and it keeps going. It's very weird. So we then get to some people walking, jogging, doing whatever in Central Park in New York City, and there's two girls sat on a bench having a really weird conversation.
It is weird, isn't it?
It's very weird.
They're just talking about a crippled girl.
In a book? Yes, in a book. It's very weird.
They just sort of speak about that. She's lost her place in a book or something.
Yeah, and the way they talk is just so unnatural.
Yeah,
and so
really
bizarre. Yeah, it's some of the weirdest acting I've ever seen. People start walking in reverse. Some are frozen in place. Yes.
So we start hearing the women screaming. There's a woman screaming.
We then see a dog, which is fine. So no dogs going here, which is nice. One of the two girls on the bench is frozen in place. She comes around a bit and she's asking what page she was on in the book. Yeah. Continues to take the pin out of her hair.
Yeah.
And just
jams it straight into her neck.
Just jams it in.
Jams it straight into her neck.
Yep.
This is the first thing we see. We also see a man walking backwards at one point.
Yeah, but there are quite a few people walking backwards.
A few people start walking backwards. Mm-hmm. Some are frozen, some start walking backwards.
It's amazing.
The girl starts repeating herself and then just stabs herself.
And then really slowly, Yeah, and the effects they're not really anything noteworthy. It's just she's just straight in.
Yeah.
And that's it.
Yeah,
it's unfortunately funny. Again, I really think Night Shyamalan thought he was doing something here, and it falls flat. It just falls super flat, but it is a funny watch. We then get to the work site, and this is a personal highlight.
Really? Wow.
4 minutes in, maybe? So there's guys at the work site, and they're all talking and laughing and being men on the work site. It's just flying. It's flying. Do you know what I mean? It is flying.
Oh, my God.
And a man just falls.
Yeah.
From the building, falls, hits the pallets or whatever, and just smacks straight in. These guys are weirdly fine with it.
Yeah, they're a bit...
He's a bit like, he just fell.
Yeah, and there's a weird bit that they just go, oh no, I think it was Davis, maybe, something like that. Yeah. They're like, oh no, Davis. So they ring, I think they must be the HR or something, being like, we've had an accident.
Yeah.
And they're like, okay, and then it's almost as if these things happen regularly.
More times than not,
For all we know, maybe.
Maybe so, but it is a weird site, and it does look a bit dangerous, but yeah. Then, another one.
Yeah.
Someone else comes, falls, jumps, whatever you want to say. Yeah. We get a shot of the main, I'm assuming, manager of the worksite, looks up, and there's multiple men just flying through the air. They are throwing themselves to the ground.
It is
It's beautiful.
It's so good.
It's amazing.
It's such a good shot.
Oh my god, I can't. Like, I was watching it again, and I just couldn't believe what I was watching. They're just
throwing themselves, and there's we'll see throughout, but there's no reaction, is there?
Not at all. He's just like this.
Yeah, they're all
they're flying and smacking into these things. It's pretty violent, but oh god, it is funny, and it's just non-stop. So we then cut to a school, and this is our introduction to Elliot, played by Mark Wahlberg.
Yeah.
And this is one of my favourite characters in history, just because who thought of casting Mark Wahlberg as a science teacher?
I literally said the exact same thing.
Who did that?
Like, you know, Mark Wahlberg is a decent actor. He's had some decent performances.
Funny when he's a comedic.
He's that sort of comedic, funny, like almost lovable idiot sort of guy, isn't he? Yeah. So to cast him as a
science teacher,
a very intelligent science teacher.
Yes.
It's odd. Is Cardigan?
Spicy, yes.
Beautiful.
He's trying to explain about the honeybees disappearing all over the country, and this is where we start to get M. Night Shyamalan's version of social commentary.
Yes.
And it is disgustingly in your face, and it is plastered everywhere, and honestly, it's laughable. It's so bad. Mark Wahlberg's acting here, atrocious. Yes. Absolutely atrocious, but I love it. I do love it. But he's asking the students for theories, not giving any sort of explanation because he himself doesn't know. But he's asking for theories on why these bees are disappearing. Yeah. And he looks so lifeless in this scene. It's amazing.
There is, I think there's one student he talks to, I think his name is Dylan, the one who is wearing the like weird headband, the big glasses, like just looked ridiculous. And he just comes out with global warming. And that's it.
Which is a very,
and everyone's just, yes, it is very much that, and that's all he says.
Yeah.
It's a bit,
So all the students start giving their theories along what's going on, and then we turn to Jake, the student called Jake.
Poor Jake.
Poor old Jake. Jake doesn't care about the bees, and Elliot is really trying to get a theory out of him, and some of the greatest lines in history come from here. So you should be more interested in science, Jake. You know why? Because your face is perfect.
Yeah.
Says that to a child. I'm not a child, but a teenager.
Yeah, this kid is very blatantly in his 20s, but he's supposed to be 15.
Oh, yeah. Looks like Tobey Maguire.
Yeah, I think they refer to him as 15, but he is, he's very obviously a lot older.
Yeah.
But he just starts ripping him.
Yeah, and then he goes, but one of my favourite lines, I quote this way too often for someone who is not a science teacher. Come on, buddy, take an interest in science. And he looks so sad saying that line. Do you know what I mean? I feel like Wahlberg read this script and was like, how am I going to convey this? So he does it very emotionally. And he's really sad that he's not taking an interest. It is amazing. And then Jake gives the best answer we could ever hope for. And this is, again, so much messaging trying to be conveyed. An act of nature, and we'll never fully understand it. That is Jake's answer to someone who didn't care. He gives a very
smart,
philosophical answer, shall we say. And yeah, just remember that because it does come back. It is wild, and I don't.
And he starts mentioning the nose at one point.
Yeah, the nose growing and the ears growing.
Your ears grow.
That's why you should take an interest.
Basically, this is as good looking as you'll ever be, and you're going to grow to be ugly. That's what he says to him.
So, and then he jokes, and he's like, "Oh, you're going to be a heartthrob your whole life." It's weird. Really weird.
Uncomfortable.
Really weird. Another teacher comes in who I thought was a principal, is not. Is just another teacher.
I think she's the vice principal.
Yes, that makes more sense. And Elliot tries so hard to be one of the kids. Ooh, what's he say? Ooh, the Dark Wizard is here.
The Dark Lord.
The Dark Lord is here. And starts hiding, turns the lights off. It's painful. All the other students are like, hee.
Can you imagine seeing this in school, though? Can you imagine the head teacher walks in, the teacher just knocks like the
really
hiding under the table.
It really reminded me of School of Rock.
Oh my god.
You know when the principal comes in and then he's got to be normal.
It's so bizarre.
It's painful.
So weird.
It's painful. It's just
hilarious though.
Incredible. So the teacher takes Elliot out, and all the kids are like freaking out across. We're walking through the hallway, so we can see kids kind of not freaking out, discussing what's going on. Yeah. Because clearly something is happening.
Yeah.
We're then introduced to John Leguizamo as Julian, the math teacher. My God, this character is incredible. The dialogue that comes out of these two together is art. It's art. It is art.
Bizarre.
So, currently on the news, this event is being said is a terrorist attack.
Terrorists!
People are topping themselves and jumping off buildings, and that's a terrorist
attack.
I've never got that.
No.
And I probably watched this one for the first time maybe 10 years ago.
I mean, it's what was it, 7 years after, so, or maybe like 5, 6 or 7 by the time they were filming this and stuff, but Yeah, it's an interesting choice.
How is this said to be a terrorist attack when people are jumping off buildings?
Yeah, interesting.
Wild, absolutely wild. So the symptoms of this happening are confused speech, physical disorientation, and loss of direction, among other things. But these are kind of the main ones, as we've already seen with loss of direction and stuff like that. Again, how that's a terrorist attack is absolutely beyond me, but that's fine. The extras in this scene, did you know it?
No, I didn't.
They're all like this.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So you're getting the principal's telling the main few, and all the extras in the background are like, wondering when lunch is. Basically, it's I've just never seen such little care put into a scene. It's amazing. No. Kids are dismissed from school from this, and they all get sent home, and we kind of follow Elliot and Julian out of the school. But obviously, before we do that, we get Elliot's little scene of him evacuating his class, and he says, "Hey guys," and they all look at him, and he goes, "No, nothing."
Because, surely at that point you would just like look after yourself.
Look after yourself.
Be careful.
Take care.
That's generally what I thought was coming, but nothing.
Where do you go with that?
Right.
They just go, okay, and they walk off. But again, this is another scene I've quoted for years. I just love it. Hey guys,
nothing.
It's incredible. He again just looks so upset. I don't know what's going on. There's a message on the chalkboard behind. Did you clock the message? No. So the message is, because we were talking about the bees earlier, if the bee disappeared off the surface of the globe, then man would only have 4 hours of life left.
Is that the Einstein quote, was it?
It's by someone.
Someone quoted? Yeah, I did. Yeah,
and I said, once again, the global messaging warming messaging, that's the one, in this film is so on the nose, you may as well have called it global warming the movie.
Yeah.
It is crazy. So we get Julian back as the maths teacher, and he always has to incorporate numbers and sums and figures into his dialogue.
This interaction outside, though, with Julian and Elliot is so weird.
Oh, it's
for no reason. There's never really... The whole reason... We'll get into Elliot and his girlfriend, the first time she's mentioned here, Alma.
Mm-hmm.
We'll get into that. But nothing's really mentioned between them. And then, for some reason, Julian just starts going, I seen what happened at the wedding. And you're like, okay, something serious coming here. And then she was crying before marrying you.
Yes.
She's never been sure about you.
All the time, Mark Wahlberg's like this.
What?
So confused.
There was but there was no reason for this.
No.
There was never it was never as if they were arguing and he was a bit like, oh yeah, but you remember this? Yep. Just for no reason.
Yep. But before that, we get a great conversation of Julian on the phone with his mother. One of my favourites. So she's clearly... He said that the mother's calling him this, that, and the other, and he threw some figures at her to show her the probability of this happening in Philadelphia, where she is. And he ends that conversation with, sometimes it's good to be a math teacher. So we got Mark Wahlberg as a science teacher, and John Leguizamo as a math teacher. It is beautiful. That line, incredible.
So funny.
So Julian invites Elliot and Alma to go with them to find the mum.
Yeah, so I
think
the
mum is in Philadelphia.
Yeah, so I think they're all yes. They're all evacuating now, and everyone just starts evacuating the place, basically.
Yes. So we see Elliot on the phone with Alma, who is played by Zoe Deschanel, if that's how you pronounce it.
Yeah,
I don't know.
I'm pretty sure it is.
And the acting in this scene is something else. Zoe Deschanel cannot phone act. I feel like to phone act, you've got to have a pretty decent skill.
Yeah.
It's atrocious.
Yeah.
It's like talking on a toy phone with
it is. It's interesting, but it's not... at this point, I was a bit like, ooh, she's having a bad performance here, but we'll get into it. And it's like, oh no, this is just the film.
Yeah. It's weird. And then Elliot is saying how Alma is acting odd and distant, clearly trying to tell the audience the relationship isn't where it should be.
Yeah.
It's just so... They throw everything in your face.
Yeah,
There's no figuring out for yourself. It's spoon-fed directly into your mouth. It is so... I can only say weird so many times, but it is weird. We get to the point where Julian says he saw them on their wedding day, and she was crying, and it just comes out of nowhere, and it's really weird. Then we see Alma for the first time with the group, and the performance is just... blank.
Yeah.
Blank.
Because we have there's a little weird side plot going on with this Joey.
Mm-hmm. So Joey is phoning her constantly on the phone.
She keeps seeing this phone call, which, along with the whole, she was weary or anything, it's hinting towards she's having an affair.
She's cheating
of some sort. Something weird's going on in the background of this throughout that we'll kind of get into. But yes, then is this where we sort of go to the train station then?
Yeah, so, she's acting weird. New York is being evacuated.
Yes.
The toxin has been said to be causing issues, altering the chemicals in your minds.
Yeah, which...
Terrorist attack.
I know, now it's new.
Altering chemicals by toxins. I don't.
It's a bit more of it's a far better explanation than terrorist.
It is a far better explanation.
It's a fascinating explanation of just that. Yeah, apparently it turns off the sort of thing to say this is a bad idea, and you just want to do that thing. So I'm not exactly sure how that works.
Yeah, and while they're watching the news, she comes out with the weirdest line delivery of all time. I won't say the full line, but the way she delivers, it makes you yourself. I was dying. It's hilarious. It's so bad.
It is just deadpan.
Oh, it's amazing. But she like really shouts it, and it's oh my god. I love the performance here. It's wild. And yeah, just when you thought there was no more evil that could be invented, she says it like that. It's like me and you trying to quote the film. Do you know what I mean? That's what it is. It's atrocious. Yeah. So Elliot goes to pack a bag. You see a picture of him on their wedding day, and he puts on this huge ring.
I genuinely... So at this point, I thought that is wedding ring. And I thought that it's the most...
It's like that big.
It's the most ridiculous looking thing I've ever
yellow.
seen.
It's yellow and huge.
This big yellow diamond thing on his ring. Because I don't think throughout it they actually have wedding rings.
I don't remember seeing a wedding ring. I just remember seeing this big ring.
Yeah.
It
bizarre.
Is. Yeah.
Well,
so
it comes back?
It does come back bizarre. Quite a few times.
Oh, yeah.
So Alma is getting calls from Joey, which is very clearly trying to say she's cheating on Elliot. And we will come back to that in a bit as well, because that never gets let go. We're at the train station. People are evacuating the city. They're getting out. Elliot calls... not Elliot, sorry. Julian calls Elliot over. I keep going between Mark and Wahlberg. And the news is playing, and it's saying the toxin is airborne. Is flying all over the place. But just remember, we're still in New York at the minute, a big city.
We're about 15 minutes into this point.
Yeah. It's just non-stop, though. Like, nothing has stopped so far. We then find out Julian has a daughter, and the partner is stuck somewhere in some shop.
Yes.
Not the Tesco's.
I didn't really understand.
I'm assuming she was at like Target getting supplies or something.
Yeah,
and possibly. They start evacuating. Maybe they lock it down.
Yeah, because you don't really understand the time concept. In the film, it almost seems like they leave school and just leave.
And but like realistically, like 3 hours has passed.
Yeah,
but we think it's like the same second.
Yeah,
it is.
Yeah, so it's a bit. Yeah, it's
all through the film you get those little timestamps, but they never seem to quite add up to the time we're on. It's something. There's no chemistry between any of these people.
Absolutely not.
No, you've got John Leguizamo, Mark Wahlberg, Zoe Deschanel, and the little girl whose name I didn't write down. Yeah, Jess. I mean, actress-wise.
Oh, no idea.
But
sorry.
There's nothing. There is nothing.
No, I mean, the only thing that is obvious is that Julian hates Alma.
Oh,
he hates it.
He doesn't make that hidden either.
He absolutely hates it.
Because we get a great line coming up in a bit, but it's wild. But Zoe Deschanel specifically is like sleepwalking through this whole film. But like,
I don't know if this was a creative choice or not. I'll be honest. I don't know.
Did she go, "Let me be dead"?
Because I've seen her in films. She can act. She can.
She's never been a favourite, but
but she can. She has a weird, like almost Aubrey Plaza, like weird awkwardness about it.
New Girl specifically.
You know, watch her in Elf, for example, as well, where she's really awkward, but it works.
Yes.
But yeah, here I don't know if it was a creative choice to have them all basically deadpan, but her specifically.
It is just hard to watch at times.
Really
it's
difficult.
Funny,
hilarious,
but it's hard. Alma and Elliot have like a little argument thing, and she says she's going to grab the train by herself. She'll sit on her own.
Yeah.
So Julian gives her the ticket, and she just walks off.
Yeah.
But then we all walk off after her as well.
Yep.
So it's really weird. It makes no sense at all. We're now getting into Philly.
Yeah.
There's a woman walking her dog. The wind is rustling through the trees.
So this is the first. This is the first time
we get of the wind.
Yeah.
And it's rustling through the trees, and the trees are. And the shot lingers a little bit too long, so we are meant to know the wind is causing something.
Yeah.
People start walking again, and we see a policeman who was trying to talk to some guy in his car, grabs his gun, and just shoots himself.
Yep.
In the middle of the road.
Yep.
The gun kind of flies forward a bit.
Yeah.
Guy gets out of his car, grabs the gun, does exactly the same. Gun flies over a bit more. Woman grabs up.
So they just take it in turns of
Russian roulette, but all bullets.
Really
strange. We get the woman, she picks it up, gunshot goes off, and we cut to another scene, proving that this just keeps happening and happening and happening. We're then back on the train, Alma is on the phone to Joey at this point, and we find out that all they did was eat tiramisu at a restaurant.
Yeah, because, I mean, first hearing this, it felt like a bit of an innuendo. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It felt like it was going to be one of those things, we're only on tiramisu, please. And it was going to
Really,
end up
they were
being
in a
like,
hotel room,
yeah. But yeah, it was, yeah.
And at this point, we don't care about that because why would we? They're evacuating the city, but she's on the phone talking about dessert. It is
Bizarre.
so funny.
Bizarre.
The delivery is horrendous as well.
Bizarre.
It's awful. Philly was just attacked, people say. Still going back to this terrorist plotline.
Yep.
Even though we've pretty much now found out it's toxins.
It lasts way too long, the whole terrorist thing.
Oh,
way
it goes on for almost 3/4 of the film. Yeah. Julian's wife has left where she wants to get on a bus, so she's safe for now. We found out on the phone because he says, "Text me."
Yeah,
and then she writes this massive text really quickly. It's hilarious. It's so funny.
Text in the world.
Literally, it's amazing. The train is super, super rammed, and Boston has now been hit by this attack.
Yeah, because there's a weird bit, isn't there, where there's this like sort of, oh my god, Boston's been hit. This is crazy, and everyone's like, it's a very mild panic.
Oh yeah,
and then
it's going wild.
And then there's like a little cut. And everyone just chilled.
Yeah.
So all this is going on, and everyone just chills and having the greatest time.
This happens so many times.
There's a guy, because I think there's a bit where Elliot and Alma are like sort of holding each other, and they're all a bit like, oh, it's kind of sad. But you see, like, there's a guy next to it, just like, out the window, like, oh my god,
they're all having a blast.
This is amazing. Having a great time.
Elliot looks like he's always going to cry, and I don't really know why. He's just constantly got tears in his eyes. It's funny. The train stops at Filbert Station, and the train service has been discontinued.
Yeah.
We find out that all communications have gone.
Yes.
All communications have gone. And this absolutely kills me off, because in a scene after this, we're all at a diner having a great time.
Yeah.
So the diner can still operate even though we've all been evacuated.
Yeah.
But there's no communications to the trains.
I have no idea.
I
mean, this is great. This is where Julian is just blind panically getting grilled cheese and milk.
Yeah. I gotta eat. It is beautiful. I feel like that was just John ordering his lunch.
It's just the most bizarre thing.
Before we get to that diner, we see Elliot talking to the train drivers, and he is like this. So what's the problem? And it is just awkward.
Yeah, it's just such a.
We lost communications. With whom? Everyone.
This is where you sort of realise he's just the nosiest man. He'll just keep going and going until you give him a straight answer.
Yeah, we get a scene later on with the phone. We see that, and then we see, I think we're in the diner at this point. Yeah. And
cut straight to the diner.
Jess is scared, and Alma gives a great line here where she says, "We're so much the same, Jess. I don't like to show my emotions either." Yet, later on, past this point, Jess is constantly crying and showing her emotions. It is mind-blowing. I know who wrote this film, but why did he write it like this? It is crazy. And that is a grown woman talking to a child.
Yeah.
A conversation between a grown woman and a child. I don't get it.
Yeah.
So we have about 1 million people stuck in Filbert. Yeah. And we're in the diner.
All in the diner.
So many people.
All in the diner.
And they're all ordering food as if it's normal.
Yeah. Have the best time again.
We're all evacuating due to a killer toxin attack, and they're all eating grilled cheese.
Having a great time again.
Yeah,
it kind of flip-flops so much between like, oh my god, this crazy thing is going on, and let's have a great time though. Why not, isn't it?
Oh man, I can't even describe how much I love all this.
I think this is where we see the ring.
The mood ring comes into play. I just spoiled it, but it turns out to be a mood ring, not a wedding ring, a massive mood ring that Elliot just wears as normal.
Which baffled me because he's a scientist.
He's a grown man also.
Yeah, he is a grown man also. But I'm not going to judge too hard.
Yeah, don't judge on the grown man.
There's not too judge too hard on it. But scientist, and he believes in these energies and auras and mood rings, and it's a bit like,
isn't there a conflict there?
Yeah, I don't think you specifically would believe in this, but
So they're talking about the colours of the mood ring. I think it goes yellow on Jess's finger, and he says, "That means you're about to laugh."
Yeah,
and then she goes, "Ah."
I know, and then she's dying not to. And he's like, laugh.
Yeah, and he's like,
yeah, I know. And then when she's like,
and then the next scene is comedy gold.
So, do you mind?
Go for it.
This is the woman, yeah.
This is the phone.
Okay. So from nowhere now, really, isn't it? Everyone's having a nice time.
They just finished laughing.
Yeah,
at the mood ring.
Laughing, and then there's a woman sort of sat next to Walden. Sorry, to Elliot. She gets out her phone, and that's all you see on the phone is they're in a zoo.
But I can't remember, I think it's New York? Or
Could be
like
New
that.
York, yeah.
It's been attacked again.
But so it's almost from the viewpoint of somebody's on the outside of the glass filming in, and you see like a lion enclosure.
OG iPhone.
Yeah. In a lion enclosure. There's a man, zookeeper obviously, who just walks into this enclosure and he just starts waving his arm. Just starts waving his arm at the lion, praying that it does something. Yeah. It cuts off, it cuts back. Next thing you know, one arm's gone. So his arms, and the man, it's as if he's nothing's happening. He is the most relaxed human being. Mm-hmm. The other arm comes off, it's so obvious that it's not attached to him at all. Because, I mean, the lion, obviously, it's not a lion, it barely scruffs him, and the arm just flies off. And there's just this man, limbless, just standing in the middle of his lion enclosure, just armless, as if what's going on?
Bear in mind, they're showing this to a small child.
And this is my Oscar-worthy moment of the movie. Because it is ridiculous.
And I said, it's in the middle of a diner, multiple people are watching this video on multiple phones, and they're showing it to, how old?
How are they not affected? I know. They're not affected, so they can watch all this.
But we get to that later on, and it is some of the funniest explanation I've ever seen in my life. But yeah, and then she goes, Mother of God, what kind of terrorists are these? A lion has just eaten a man, but that's a terrorist attack. It is insane. Again, Shyamalan must have been writing this thinking he was doing something. Oh my
God, it makes Americans seem really stupid.
Yeah, and I can never figure out if he meant for this to be a joke. But all the marketing is super serious.
Yeah. Continue.
And then everyone's watching the video, and then someone comes out. They're not sure it's terrorists now. Yeah. At this point, we're probably over half hour in. And they've only just now thought it might not be a terrorist attack. I don't know. All through this film, there's always news on.
Yes, constantly.
Radio, TV, yet
they can't contact anyone.
We lose communications, we lose electrics, but the news is always on. And that's fine. Yeah. So the newscaster explains that the toxin virus is airborne and attacking small towns like Filbert. Like the one we're in now.
Well, it's the northeast, isn't it? It comes out to the northeast, just this little sort of... Well, I mean, it's a huge area.
Well, it started in the big cities, didn't it? It started in New York, and now it's starting to move down to the smaller towns. And he goes, where are we? Dead center.
And if he doesn't point dead center, he points basically... He almost points like... There's you can see where the border is, and he basically points at they're right on the edge of the border, and he's like, dead center. It's like, no, you're not. You're not, though.
And there's so many random people just pointing things out. Oh my God, it's so funny. So the electrics go out in the diner, everyone thinks this is time, they go in. Yeah. The terrorists
they just panic. They just panic all of a sudden.
Yep. And then apparently the event isn't happening 90 miles from this space. They don't say in which direction, they just say 90 miles. So people just scatter. They all start going off. So everyone leaves and they all drive off, and Elliot's trying to get a lift. And
what is he doing?
Hey, can we get a lift?
Because this is the thing, though. They're clearly stealing cars. Because none of these people live there.
No.
So they've clearly stolen all these cars.
I didn't think of that. Very good point.
And Elliot, instead of jumping in the car and stealing it, he just sort of aimlessly please.
We've got a child, please.
Please, wait for me.
That is literally,
you can literally hear people getting in cars while he's just stood in the middle of the road going, please.
He's trying to talk to this one car, and the woman goes, just close the window, honey. And then they just drive off. And Elliot's like this. And it's amazing. So we get the greatest character introduction of all time, but he gets better and better as we go on. Yeah, so a man with a beard and a really scruffy looking dude, he offers Alma and Elliot a lift, and I love this character. I love him so much. Alma keeps asking if Julian's okay, as if he's okay. He's got a daughter in the middle of this event happening, can't find his wife, and she keeps going, I hope he's okay.
Yeah, even though he very obviously hates you as well.
On top of all the worry, he hates you. I just don't get it. When clearly his wife is stuck, daughter's scared, and she's just, I hope he's okay. Yeah. Me too. So Elliot goes and explains he has a ride for everyone, and Julian says he hasn't heard from the wife for 2 hours. So we've been at this diner from the train for 2 hours.
Yeah, well, it's because obviously the text message
was when they got on the train.
During the train journey. Yeah. So in 2 hours, they've taken the train journey, broken down, got out, figured out where they're going, found the diner, gone to the diner. In 2 hours.
The timekeeping in this film is bonkers. Bizarre. So Julian explains he's found a ride just for him. There's only one space in this car, but they're going to Philadelphia where his wife is. he wants to find his wife, so he takes this lift.
Yeah.
He leaves Jess with Alma.
Yeah.
And
have you got the other line?
The conversation here, yeah. There's a conversation between Julian and Elliot,
yeah.
And he says, let's talk percentages and figures about why he should take this ride.
Yeah.
And he says there's like a 62% chance it hasn't happened in Philadelphia, so he's going to join that lift to get to Philly to find his wife.
Mm-hmm.
Julian goes to get to the lift. Alma goes to hold Jess's hand.
This line is
and Julian says,
wild.
Don't hold my daughter's hand unless you mean it.
That was...
What do you mean?
Wow, it is horrific. If a man, if I was with a girl and you spoke to her like that, I would be furious.
And Elliot
just does not care. The hatred Julian has, the hatred Julian has for Alma is incredible.
And it's not even like we know these two are best mates.
No.
All they are, for me, are work colleagues.
Yeah.
That maybe are a bit closer than me.
Yeah, they see. I think it's implied they're supposed to be best friends, but yeah,
I can only assume he was like a best man at their wedding.
He must have been. But this was a really interesting choice from Julian to just walk off and leave his daughter behind. Yeah. It was
the only thing I can say about this whole thing is John Leguizamo definitely gives the best performance of the film. He does. Yeah, it's
that's
not
for
good,
sure. No.
But it's the best performance of this whole film.
It's how people should react in a situation.
Almost, yes.
Almost.
Apart from leaving your daughter with someone you hate.
Yeah, but that wasn't the best move. And I mean, his wife was very blatantly gone at this point.
Yes.
Very blatantly. But I mean, the fact that he's still blindly doing it and leaving his daughter behind, stupidest decision. But outside of that, everything he's done has actually made sense.
Getting his daughter some food and stuff like that. Yeah. He goes to the lift and he looks behind and it's in the worst slow-mo.
The slow-mo is awful.
It's not even slow-mo. It's they've
not.
Just slowed down the shot.
They've taken it down to like a 0.5, haven't they? Like it's
like this.
Yeah, it's bizarre.
And
it's it. It's so bizarre.
It's so bad, but that's Julian gone.
Yeah, gone.
So Julian's gone, and now we're back with our three main characters and the greatest character known to man, the guy with the beard and the scruffy guy who took them for the lift. They get to his house because he needs to pick up a few things. And in the background, there's a giant power plant.
Yeah, I was like, this is The Simpsons. There it is, Mr. Big. This power plant. He's there. Like,
that is clearly, once again, M. Night Shyamalan just talking about global
warming. Yeah, no,
I know. Fifth time at this point.
But this is the thing. This is in a really, like, rural, villagey, like, middle of nowhere place with just the biggest power plant you will ever...
Pollution everywhere.
Just ginormous. Yeah.
And it's so badly put in.
It's very obviously not there.
So, Elliot, Jess and Alma are looking on this, like, growing facility he has. I'm assuming he's like a farmer, kind of.
Yeah.
That might not be all he's growing, but he's growing stuff in this facility.
He seems to just be like some local farmer, basically.
Yes, where he comes in and delivers some of the best lines you will ever hear in a film of all time, and I've quoted this ridiculously amount of times. He's talking about how they're going to go get some hot dogs to take on the... Now, this is real dialogue in a real film about attacks and all this that's going on. He's talking about how they're his favourite food and they get a bad rap, but they shouldn't because they're full of proteins. and
I just love the shape.
Talks about the shape of the hot dog and it is amazing. But it doesn't end there. So he's then talking about the plants causing airborne toxins and because they can release chemicals. And then he turns to Alma and goes, "But you like hot dogs, right?"
Yeah. The man just loves himself some hot dogs.
He's talking about the killer plants, and then he talks about the hot dogs.
Which is just bizarre, because we think about it, he's very obviously almost like, he comes across as a bit of a vegetarian / vegan, like he's very obviously growing his own plants to be like, this is the lifestyle to live, but just loves himself some hot dog. You can just open his fridge and it's just tins and tins of just hot dog runs and just carrots and vegetables everywhere. Like that.
But that is my favourite scene of the whole film.
It's so ridiculous.
It's just out of nowhere, out of context.
So funny, man.
It's what makes this film so endlessly rewatchable and quotable for me.
So good.
It's just these ridiculous scenes. Then he starts talking to his plants.
Yep. No,
he starts saying how we should treat them with respect because they can hear.
Yeah.
And they respond to human stimuli.
Yeah. This is the first time where the plants are brought in, isn't it?
The plants now come into play.
Yeah, where someone's obviously at this point of the film, when someone's going, obviously we've had terrorists, then it's the neurotoxin. We've had like a few different theories thrown out there, and then they've just gone. Now this random bloke has just gone. It's the plants.
Yep.
What?
Hot Dog Man thinks it's the plants.
So Hot Dog Man thinks it's the plants.
You just can't make it up. You cannot make it up. It's incredible. So Julian's in the car. We're back at Julian now.
Yeah.
He's in the car, and we get to Princeton, which I'm assuming is
Princeton,
which is clearly a little village.
I think this is where she was going, wasn't
but
it?
we're already there.
Yeah,
We're already there. No journey.
No.
We're there.
This is all within. So this just to sort of clarify, this whole thing is within 24 hours.
Not even. Yeah, I think it's just over 24.
Yeah, so this whole film is within 24 hours. Just keep that in mind throughout.
Yes,
basically.
and as I said, we've travelled to multiple places, which would take hours. But yeah, so we get to Julian, and they're driving through this area, and there are men hanging from trees.
I mean, this genuinely shocked me.
The best part of it, the ladders going up to the trees.
Yeah,
kills me.
know.
Oh.
Well, it's just so bizarre because you start going, and then there's just random lawnmowers just scattered across the road. You're a bit like, what's going on here? Yeah. And then genuinely, like, for this was the moment where I was like, wow,
this is a good scene.
Like, this was great.
This scene is so good until it's not.
No. But when you first see them, I was
everyone's reaction is pretty good.
Taken back by it.
Julian's trying his hardest because a woman starts screaming, and he's trying his hardest to keep it calm. And goes into math riddles.
Yeah, I know he does.
Starts talking about math riddles. He hits them with the math riddle, that's what he says. And then, if this was me, I would smack this man so quickly because I do not want to be doing math at this point.
It did work, though.
It did work, and fair play to him, he is trying his hardest. As he's doing this math riddle, he notices like it's a Jeep they're in, and it's got like a material, isn't it? And it's got a little hole in it.
But there is a flaw in this because Julian has no idea about this thing in the air.
Yeah, we do, because it was at the diner. It was announced at the diner.
Oh, was it?
They said it was airborne. It was going through.
Okay, my apologies.
So he does know, and then he finds a little hole in the ceiling of the car, and he pretty much knows the toxin has gone in. He kind of just accepts it.
Yeah.
The guy driving the car, who, cameo appearance, is Dante from Clerks. You only really see his face once, and it's him.
Okay.
Stops the car in the middle of the road. We look at the ceiling hole again. The wind is flying through it. Sitting there. Hits the gas, goes real fast, just speeding, hits a tree, driver goes flying out the window.
No. 2 people.
Oh, was it 2?
2. So this is, if you look at it, the driver's here, Julian's in the front with the driver. Mm-hmm. So the only 2 people who can get thrown out of this car are him and Julian.
Yes.
He goes flying.
Like flying.
You see then, just on the other side, somebody has flown from the back past Julian and out the window. There are 2 bodies. 2 bodies fly out of that car either side of the tree.
Okay, that's amazing. But then we see Julian get out of the car, seemingly unharmed.
Nothing.
Walks out. Like
Not a thing.
This is how he walks. Sits on the floor, grabs a rock, and starts just going to town on his own arm.
Yep.
And that is all we see of Julian.
And that's it.
He's gone.
Yeah, he's gone. Goodbye.
And he was my favourite character. Well, apart from Hot Dog Man. He was the best character of this film, and he's just gone.
Yeah, it was a very. If anything, it would be better if he been one of the people thrown out.
And
he
was
car,
like, kind of
a bit more of a epic way to go sort of thing.
But you don't even see it. You just see it. The camera's well away, and he's just on the floor with a rock.
It's more because obviously it's kind of proven that once the toxins hit, you have no emotions.
Yeah.
So the non-emotion side of things, I can understand. But he's not even hurt.
No,
there's no damage to him. Everybody else has been absolutely obliterated by this tree, and he's the only one who is just fine.
Yeah.
Bizarre.
It's crazy.
But a great scene.
Super entertaining.
Great scene.
I laugh every single time. Because, like, the CG in 2008 obviously isn't where you want it to be. And when he flies out of that car, he flies. It's amazing. So we're back in the other car with Hot Dog Man and the rest of our crew.
Yeah.
They stop the car because they think they can see dead animals up the road. They turn out to be bodies. But we get a great line.
Yeah. The
wife of the Hot Dog Man says, "You have binoculars in the back from when you were spying on our neighbours."
Such a normal thing.
There's not even. And Elliot, Alma, and Jess, no reaction.
No.
Not a single reaction. I understand there's things on the road, but spying on your neighbours.
Spying on my neighbours with binoculars.
Yeah. It is crazy. Turns out to be bodies on the road, not animals, and Elliot is affected. Like, this man is affected by this, and I don't really know why. I get it's dead bodies, but doesn't know who they are.
No.
They're just bodies on the road.
We've
seen multiple dead
messes him up.
He really gets shaken. So they turn around, they go a different way. Thanks, bodies. Closing the road off. Wonderful. We then linger on more windy trees.
Yeah.
For a little bit too long, and there's wind.
Yeah.
Flying through.
The wind becomes a big part of this film.
Villain
is the wind.
The wind is here, and it's here to stay.
Yeah.
So then, here we go. Another great scene.
So good.
We see an army man driving around, and he gets out of the car, runs toward the Hot Dog Man's car, saying he's lost all communications with the army. But then again, we still get the newscasting in the background.
It's a bit weird. Like, it's never really explained. I think it's something to do with barbed wire or something. Like, I think he got to the army base and he says, like, all the army guys were, like, wrapped in this barbed wire and stuff. And it was a bit, like, I didn't really understand. But the army man is...
The actor is so bad, but it's so funny to watch. It's like an absolute train wreck.
He is a bumbling idiot.
I swear he forgets half his lines because he's just looking around. And then they say something, they say about the bodies, and he goes, cheese and crackers.
I heard the line and I was just, I was dying.
But he's like, cheese and crackers. He is so incredible. Good. Like you can't pick a good quote out of this one because there's so many. There's so many, and this is why I've watched it so many times.
And then just starts running.
The run.
He's the most uncomfortable looking runner.
And through all this, Joey's still calling Alma on the phone.
Yeah.
We get another phone call from Joey, and is this where? I think this might be the scene where Elliot kind of goes, "Who's Joey?"
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nobody.
Goes, no one. Okay.
All this carnage going on. There's clearly a man. Like, you know, it's pretty much the end of the world coming in.
Yes.
There's a man very blatantly ringing your girlfriend. Like, when the world's ending and someone's ringing your girlfriend,
there's a problem.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, no worries. Yeah. No problem.
So then we get Elliot really starting to believe Mr. Hot Dog about the plants.
Yes.
He really does believe. Yeah. And there seems to be bodies all over these rural roads. Where the hell did these people come from?
Yeah, it's really weird. This like on this little weird intersection, is there? Like in the middle of like lanes, and then like people just seem to come from every direction, all at exactly the same time, and all happen to be just left areas where this thing is hit. So this thing is surrounding them. Whatever this disease thing is, it's around them everywhere, but just not in this.
But then we get told that overpopulation basically causes this thing. These roads don't look overpopulated, so where have these bodies come from? I understand now it's getting overpopulated because 1 million cars show up.
Yeah.
But I don't
really random. They all happen to turn up exactly the same time, like very.
And then someone is on the phone to someone else in Princeton, where Julian went. Princeton's been affected. Everyone's dead.
Oh, this is the woman with the daughter, is it not?
This is the woman with the daughter on the phone. The extras again are doing this, looking around. You know, what's going on? The girl on the phone is saying, "I see in calculus." A maths? Calculus. Yeah.
Calculus.
It is incredible. You can hear the wind then on the phone. Yeah. So we know what's happening. Yeah, and then Elliot is trying to get on the phone.
So this woman is clearly having a horrible time where her daughter is being affected. You know what I mean? Something terrible is happening to her daughter. And he's just going, are there still people alive? And she's a bit like,
are there still people alive, sweetheart? And she's clearly changing or whatever's going on.
And then you hear glass shatter.
Yeah.
And then she just hands him the phone. And he's just there on the phone listening to the wind. Elliot's just holding this woman's phone, whose daughter's just clearly gone.
Yeah.
And just...
So then we cut back to Jess and Alma, and Alma just walks off to the car and leaves Jess on her own.
Yeah.
In the middle of this event, and then Elliot is there crying again against the road.
Yeah, this is actually a cute moment.
It's a very good moment. Yeah. Jess goes to see if he's okay, and they hug and they cry together.
This is the bit where I think it's like when Jess is sad, or she whispers, and then you see her whispering, so it's clearly she's whispered to him, and they've kind of realised that Julian's gone, and they have a little moment.
It's a cute moment.
It was a nice moment with
Alma's watching them crying. Even though she doesn't show emotion. No, doesn't like to show emotion, but she's crying in the middle of people.
Yeah.
So Jess is now asleep in the car, and Mr. Hot Dog is eating a hot dog. He is eating a hot dog.
He did not forget to take his hot dog.
Finally, we get the hot dog chewing scene. That's all we needed. He then explains how the plants are like evolving into killing machines.
Yeah, so they're talking to each other, and he mentions it like targeting people and stuff. And
so he says that different forms of plant can talk to different forms of plant. He says trees can talk to like little plants, and little plants can communicate with like bushes.
And they're all targeting specific areas.
Yeah, and like all the plants communicate in their own language. Yeah. Honestly, this scene was hard. Because it is just mumbo jumbo.
Yeah,
they are talking, but not saying it. It's yapping.
It is
that's all it is. It is crazy. So it started in cities and is making its way to smaller and smaller towns and villages. And all of these people where we're at now, this is the attack zone.
Yeah, because this is really weird. So
how do they know that when they've lost communication with everyone?
I don't know. Because basically, this is their sort of plan is that they want to go. So the Iron Man comes with a plan of wanting to go somewhere where there is no population.
Yeah.
Keep in mind, there is at least 50 to 60 people.
Yes.
In this group.
Oh, I'd say more.
Probably more.
Yeah.
So there's like this huge group of people.
Yeah.
And this army guy wants to take them to an underpopulated place to stay together.
Yeah, it's
and
weird.
It's a bit like there's no logic.
No, not
at all.
Not at all. And
really
I said,
strange,
I
really
just don't
idea.
understand how he wrote this script and thought this was okay and good.
And then one guy happened to know there was like a random village. Do you know what I mean?
Like,
one guy stood up and just goes, "Oh, there's a random village."
Yeah, because they're all told about a certain area that's
20 miles that way.
barely populated.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of people here.
Yeah.
So if they all go to that one, as you just said, surely that's going to lead to an attack. So Alma, here's where it is. Alma comes clean about Joey to Elliot.
Oh my god!
About him having dessert. And it's really weird and awkward. She only tells him because she thinks they're going to die. She specifically says that.
Yeah.
And it is...
It's the most bizarre conversation though, because
we don't get his side yet, do we?
No, but no. His side's even better. But so she basically comes out and says, "Like, I gotta tell you something. That Joey guy, me and him, he's a guy from work. We went out, we had dessert,
and I lied to you.
And he's genuinely devastated. Like the man just goes, I can't believe you lied to me," and just walks off as if
this is the biggest moment of his life. Yeah.
But throughout this, they have zero going on between. There's nothing, no chemistry. There's no lovey-dovey.
No, they're clearly not a good couple.
They're basically brother and sister.
Yeah, 100%.
They're more siblings than they are relationships.
They don't kiss. They don't hug.
No,
they don't hold hands.
They have no feelings towards each other whatsoever. He is absolutely heartbroken about this.
Yep. And then we get another shot of the wind in the trees.
Yeah, of course.
As we can all see where it's going now, the wind is the enemy. There's a woman screaming, and the army man has clearly now been affected. He says, he screams, "My firearm is my friend. It will not leave my side." Right? He starts walking backwards. Does the backwards walk. They all do, for some reason. Yeah. Some more wind starts rustling. Shot of him taking his gun out of his holster.
Yeah.
We hear the gun shot, and Elliot goes, "Oh no.
Oh no."
While looking at the camera.
The best reaction. There's a huge gunshot. There's clearly your friend, like not your friends, but people you've just communicated with behind you. And it is the most, oh no.
Oh no!
It's barely.
I don't even know. He almost looks more like he's trying to joke about it.
No, it is.
It's wild. And he's basically looking at, and Alma goes, "What? Oh no!" And I just don't know. I just don't know. Like, how many times did they film this scene and think, "That's it, we've got it"? Do you know what I mean? Like, it is crazy. Multiple gunshots go off, and Elliot is asking as if the toxin is attacking them, like, physically.
Yeah, so this is the first time where, like, they almost start to realise that the wind is the villain.
And the camera is here,
yeah,
and Mark Wahlberg's nose is basically the scene.
Yeah.
And it's scary.
Yeah, no,
it's pretty freaky.
It is scary.
And then he's freaking out in the middle of this field, and he goes, "All right, be scientific, douchebag."
Yeah, and then just starts coming up with this, like, really... The basic plan is run. Mm-hmm. That's all he needs to do is run. But he comes up with this like weird, like scientific explanation of being like, and then if I think of this and this will happen, and then if I do, and then if I add like all these things together, and it's just like you just run away.
Yeah, he basically says there are a number of other plants. Plants are targeting humans as threats, and plants are the terrorists.
Yeah, I think this is where they work out that they're going after big groups. So this the newest thing now is these plants are targeting big groups,
big populations.
So stay in small little clusters.
What they do here is they all split off into little groups, but of the same people. So Elliot says they need to stay ahead of the wind, and this scene's incredible. There's a little group. It's Elliot, Alma, Jess, two boys, and one other person.
I think that's it. Yeah, okay. It's just the two young guys.
And they're all. It's a crazy scene of them running and the wind pushing grass as if it's behind them. I love it. I love this scene because it's so dramatic.
Stupid.
And they run it. The music's like, and the wind is coming.
It's so.
It's like the Invisible Man.
It's so stupid. It is hilarious. Like,
I love it, and it is so dramatic. And then the wind catches up with them. He goes, "Here it comes," and they stop.
And nothing happens.
No, nothing happens.
Nothing happens. Nothing happens. No. This is pretty much, I think, the only time this film where the wind comes. It clearly
touches them.
Clearly catches up to the humans, and nothing happens. They're absolutely fine.
Yep.
No explanation. This is never explained.
We never get anything else. It's just that.
It's just film logic.
Yep. And then we just move ahead and we find an abandoned truck in the middle of the grass. And Elliot goes to look, and there's a map in there. He's like Indiana Jones or something. I mean, he looks for the map, and then the radio is on. Of course it is. The news is on, and all we hear is that it's poisoning the air.
Yeah.
So clearly the wind is carrying this poison through the air.
How did they? Again, though,
where have we discovered this?
It does not explain how it passed over them.
No.
How were they alive?
My only logical explanation
is just wind.
Because there was only 5 of them.
Maybe, or it was just wind.
It was a normal wind.
It was
without
just
poison.
wind. Yeah, they just happened to be in a field with a big gust past them.
Yeah, that's what I mean. I wrote down here, how is the radio still going when we've lost communications across the board multiple times? We hear that with the train, with the army, but the news is still going. That's what we like to know. So there's a house in the distance. We get to this house, and Elliot's trying to talk all sciencey again, saying the plants are releasing toxins into the air. This is incredible.
It's so good.
This is another real highlight of this film.
This is
just because it's genuinely funny.
It's hilarious.
Like, I know it's bad, but I almost feel this bit is almost well written because it's a joke.
No,
it is funny.
And I mean, this is like, you've seen this.
This is peak.
You've seen memes of this. This is like the famous scene of this film.
I remember watching a YouTuber growing up, Chris Duck, when he reviewed this. This is what stuck with me the most. Yeah. So Alma takes Jess to the bathroom in this random house that they don't know if there's anyone there. Yeah. Takes her to the bathroom. And Elliot sees a big plant in this house and starts talking to it.
Well, the plant starts
wind rushes through the plant.
Yeah. So it's almost like the plant is alive. Yeah.
Yep. And then he starts talking to it, and he goes, "We come here with positive vibes," and explains, "We're just here to use the bathroom, okay?" And he literally says it like that, like moving his neck, and it's really weird. And then he touches the plant, even though these plants could be killing you and poisonous. Touches it and goes, "Plastic."
So he's trying to like speak to this plant and not to kill it, please. And it turns out this thing is plastic.
It's plastic.
And then he just carries on.
Yeah, and I'm talking to a plastic plant. I'm still doing it. But this one, where they go with that joke, it almost seems well written because it's a genuinely funny scene.
No, it is hilarious.
But that is the only genuinely funny scene in this whole film. The rest is accidentally.
Yes, this is intentionally funny.
This was an intentional.
This whole little scene was intentional.
And this is where it baffles me because it almost feels like if he had done this right, it could have been a funny kind of pseudo comedy. But no, he has one good joke through this whole script. It's insane. But they find out everything in this house is fake, including the juice.
Oh, that was so funny because they realise very quickly everything's plastic. We're a bit weird, like the kid's got like a little sushi thing in front of him and he's just like, "This is so sad." And then there's just a bit where Mark will be like, "Oh, sorry, Elliot."
A wine glass.
Yeah, just holding a wine glass as if he's doing something with it. They know it's plastic, but like starts having this little sort of conversation whilst like swishing this.
Yeah. And in a lot of these conversations, the word "happening" gets thrown around as if like forgot what film we were
honestly,
watching.
This is probably about the 5th or 6th time. So they never say "the happening."
No, but it's always something's
happening. You hear it constantly throughout this film.
During this whole scene, Jess and Alma are still in the bathroom.
Yeah.
Still in the bathroom, and then they leave the model home. Yeah. So we see loads of people walking across fields, and two groups come together. Elliot starts panicking.
Yeah.
He says, "Oh no, population's coming together. They're going to get attacked."
But I mean, what? There's like 10 people
in
this group. There's about 10 people.
Yeah.
So double what you've got. You know, probably like, 5 or 6 more people than you've got.
But he's right. It gets overpopulated. The toxin kicks in. A man sets off a ride-on lawnmower. I don't know if you can actually do this.
I don't understand because... So basically, he sets it off, doesn't he? Walks about like 10 yards in front, lies on the floor, and somehow this lawnmower just does a little 180 and drives like
it goes perfectly
over him.
Now, I don't have a little ride-on lawnmower. I don't know if you can let it run on its own and do your garden for you. I'm going to assume not because that's dangerous.
No, I don't think it's supposed to turn.
No, as you said, it literally turns and goes straight over this man who just lays on the ground like this.
Yeah, it's a great scene for an actual but as in for a death. It's a great
death.
Way to go.
And that's one thing I can say about this film: the deaths are great,
fantastic,
a lot of fun.
Yeah.
And that's where he did
bizarre.
It's odd, but it's so funny because Elliot's watching the whole thing like this.
Yeah, because there's this point where I was like, "Is this supposed to be a horror film?"
Yeah,
it is a horror film.
It's a thriller. Horror.
Yeah,
it's amazing.
It is. Yeah, it was at this point where I sort of realised, they are actually trying to make this
scary.
A horror
fun little story for you. I watched this years back with an ex-girlfriend who thought this was so scary. Genuinely found this scary. That was the first time I'd watched it. I laughed all the way through. She thought this was super scary. You know the beginning where the pin, she was terrified. Just a fun little story for you there.
Well,
yeah, really, really weird.
Yeah, I mean, poor girl. But
I would love to see the people who.
Yeah.
So we start heading somewhere else. These two random boys that are part of the group start talking to Elliot about why he doesn't have children.
Oh, yeah, they do, don't they?
Why do you have kids? And then they start talking about his relationship, about how he needs to put himself first.
Yeah, and the one boy knows about the mood ring. Randomly, this kid, what is he, like?
I think one of the boys is from the Cat in the Hat. I think he's Conrad.
Oh my god, yeah.
Yes.
It could be.
Yeah, and then it's really awkward, and then there's a radio stuck to a post.
What is this? But it's not even stuck to a post. It's
like
almost like hung up on the tree. It's like this long sort of thing where it's like tied around the tree and it's sort of just dangling in the middle. There's like a tree. There's like one tree in about a 60-mile radius.
Yeah,
and it just happened to have a radio
the news
on
is playing.
And the radio,
it's bonkers.
It's tuned.
We get more wind through the trees again. We get this so many times, and then Alma just comes out and says, "Jess needs a 10-minute rest and some food," like that. Not even like, "Oh my god, she's flagging." No. Jess needs a 10-minute rest and some food.
Thank you.
It's the weirdest line, and then here we go to coming back from the conversation Alma was talking about Joey with the tiramisu. Yeah, we get Elliot with the best dialogue in this film. This rivals the hot dog scene. So Elliot tells a story about how he was at a pharmacy once, and a really good-looking pharmacist was behind the counter. Yeah. He asked her where the cough syrup was, but he didn't have a cough. He wasn't ill, didn't need the cough syrup, and he nearly bought it because she was that good looking. And the cough syrup was $6.
Then she looks at it and she goes, "Really?" No.
He doesn't even say no, he just goes...
She doesn't know, he just shakes his head, and then she looks at her and goes, "Thank you."
It is phenomenal. But the best thing, the highlight of that is just... no emotion.
Why?
And then, "Why?" Thank you. And she's crying again.
But why?
What was the point of that whole conversation? Just to make her jealous for 3 seconds.
What was she thanking him for? It was
thankful for lying, I guess. Yeah, it's amazing.
So funny.
But she says she's got no emotions and she's crying in this tiny little story about cough syrup.
Oh my god, it's so good, man.
This was where I had to pause the film and literally write this whole paragraph because it is so funny. He says he was lying and she thanks him. It's beautiful.
Thank you.
They come across a new house and Elliot and these random boys are trying to look through because there's shutters on the windows and they're trying to look through. So Jess is on this swing that's hanging on a tree.
Yeah.
And Elliot is freaking out about
not
this.
Not the
tree. Please get off the tree. Alma says it's only for 10 minutes and they'll get off. It's just to calm Jess down. Even though Jess is fine.
Yeah, no,
she's absolutely fine.
She has a great time.
The tree is creaking. The tree is creaking, and I think it's upset.
Yeah, the tree is not happy. Get off me.
There's someone in the house, and we can see them through the shutters. And Elliot just asks if they can get some food.
Yeah,
that's all he wants. He doesn't want anything. He doesn't want to stay. He just wants food.
I mean, it's a bit weird because this is clearly like a very rundown house. It clearly has like holes everywhere throughout the house. It's broken, so there's no way that like the wind is clearly very obviously getting into this house. Yeah. But they are just there going, "Get out of the house! Don't come back! Yeah, don't bring that whatever the toxins, the evil into this house." Even though it's very blatantly in there.
And we get another brilliant scene.
Oh my god!
Elliot is trying to convince him that he's normal and starts singing.
Oh, he starts singing. He did,
and I can't remember the song. I won't even.
No, it's just this weird, like, he's just like,
rolling.
we're normal,
and he's proper like,
and and he does about like 2 lines and go, see, we're really normal. No, I don't know.
It is disgusting.
The guy doesn't react to it though. It's not even as if the guy kind of goes, "That's strange." He just ignores it. Yeah, the guy inside the house just ignores it.
Yeah, the man still says no.
Yeah,
tells him to leave. Oh, man, one of the kids is kicking the door, and he says, "Open the door, bitch."
And then the other one just starts calling him out, be like, come out of there, you pussy. And you're just like, what? Like, what?
It is bizarre.
It comes from nowhere, though.
Yeah.
This is so unnecessary.
And then, out from the shutter,
this was
big
so
shotgun nose comes out. And he kills one of the boys. One of the
blows him to smithereens.
Absolutely obliterates him. And again, the gore is a lot of fun.
Oh, my God.
He gets blown away.
It's wild.
Slow-mo kicks in.
Yeah,
Elliot's running towards the other boy because all of a sudden the guy inside's gone from here to over here very quick.
I think there was more than one person in the house.
I think it's husband and wife.
Yeah, I think they.
But isn't it a man talking the whole time?
Yeah, I think there's one guy talking, but I think they realised there was more than one. I think at one point they mentioned there was more than one person in the house.
Right. Okay, that makes more sense because otherwise he's teleporting.
Yeah.
And he goes to the other shutter where the other boy is, and Elliot is running. No. And the shotgun comes back out. Blasts him in the head, and his head explodes like a watermelon.
It's wow. To go from him, Elliot, having a little sing-song, be like, look, we're so normal. To know from nowhere, the kids just start kicking the doors in, screaming abuse at these people inside, and then just get blown.
Yeah,
blown to smithereens.
Yeah.
And then the guy basically goes, you got till 10 to get off my lawn, and they just run.
But they last on this porch for far too long.
Far too long. Considering they're like clearly terrified.
Two kids just got murdered, and there's a little girl on this step, and they just go.
Yeah,
it is incredible. But this scene is so shocking, but not really at all in the way you want it to be. And M. Night Shyamalan just drops the ball here because it is unfortunately hilarious. It's crazy.
So silly.
But yeah, they stay on this doorstep for far too long considering what happened. And there's two people in the house with gas masks on.
Yeah, there's two old ladies. We have like this weird.
Is that the same house we just saw?
I don't think so. So I think we sort of do this weird bit where like after that they leave. And then we have these like weird little clips down, don't we, of people. So there's two ladies knitting
just
in these full gas masks, talking. And then you have a bit then where there's like a family in a bath that have like dragged the TV around, and they're sort of watching it. Like, so this like old TV is sort of like just in the bathroom with them, and they're all sort of scared. It's so weird.
It's wild. But then we cut.
Yeah.
So we see another news report.
Yeah.
And it says it could end at any moment. Yeah, but it's probability.
Yeah, so this is the scientist. This is like the main scientist now, and this is the first time we see like the main.
Yeah, he pops back every now and then. But he says it could end suddenly at any moment, but so it's just probability.
Yeah, I think he says it's basically like this has been the small version.
Yes.
So it's gonna peak at like
10 o'clock.
9 o'clock. I think it was. No, I think it was 9, and then it's because
sure because there's something that happens at 10.
Yeah, no, I think it was 9 though. Oh well, 9, 10.
Yeah,
like that. But yeah, so basically it's supposed to peak. So over like a 24-hour period, it's supposed to peak at.
And then possibly it's just going to go.
Yeah.
It's just going to go. The CIA is now involved, and I lost the story bit here because it's basically gone.
Yeah,
the story basically takes a nosedive after that.
There's so many people, there's way too many people involved at this point, way too many theories getting thrown about. It's just a bit of a mess.
And now we get to an amazing 20 minutes, or maybe like 10, 15 minutes. It's insane. We get to another house, and it's a really creaky old house with no electric. There's nothing going on. There's an old lady sat on the porch, and Elliot tries to talk to her, and she goes, "Why are you eyeing my lemon drink?" It's so good. It's so good.
Do you want my lemon drink?
And she goes, "I suppose I should offer you supper," and walks off.
Yeah, it's really strange.
So they all go inside, they eat supper with her in dead silence. She then starts talking some random nonsense for a bit. I don't really know what it was about.
No, I don't really know.
It's just
she's clearly just a crazy old lady, isn't she? Yeah.
And the acting is bonkers.
Oh my god!
Like you've got Alma doing this,
so bizarre,
just smiling at her.
Yeah.
You've got Elliot like really like emotional looking at her.
Yeah.
Jess and the old lady is just yapping.
Because a bit is there where Jess sort of like reaches for a biscuit.
This is where she's
just slaps her. Slaps her.
I didn't notice what she was reaching for.
I think
it is. You just see Jess reaching for this biscuit, and she goes, smacks it,
slaps her.
And she says, "Don't take things that are not yours."
Yeah,
but you offered them food.
I know. Yeah, and clearly put biscuits there. But then, like within, she has a little chat as well. But then just gives her the biscuit anyway.
Yeah,
she's almost as if it's her being like, "If I give it to you, you're right. But don't take it from me."
And they're talking about Elliot and Alma's relationship. Who's chasing who?
Yeah, because this is where I obviously, as you said, there was a wedding photo earlier, but this is I kind of forgotten about this.
Yeah.
So when you see this conversation, at this point I thought, oh, they're not together, because it's very much implied that who's chasing who, like who's trying to pursue this relationship, and Elliot kind of goes really sheepishly,
Elliot with a hand
just puts his hand up, and then she's like, oh, okay. So it's very much implied that they are not together, and that Elliot is trying to get with Alma. That's basically the implication here.
But they're married.
Yes, they're married, and it's almost it's almost like Mrs. Jones, the lady.
Mrs. Jones, that's her,
has basically gone like, this is really weird, your relationship.
Yes,
she just pointed it out, and it's just like, yes,
like we all wanted to. Yeah. She then says she has no contact with anyone outside of the house, and she doesn't care about the world. And then she goes, "I guess I should offer you a place to stay for the night."
She guessed she could do everything.
Yeah, she guesses. Now this is where it starts to get a bit lost, because by now it's got to be 8, 9 p.m.
Yeah.
And we're already, we haven't got long left of this 24-hour cycle. So all the time is just flown.
Oh, yeah. And it's been light for
the whole time.
yeah.
So Elliot and Alma are putting Jess to bed. Alma says she's scared. showing more emotion, even though she doesn't show emotions. It's bizarre. Alma says she doesn't trust the old lady. This is incredible. Bizarre. This might be the actual best part of the film for me. Could be, yeah. I could flip-flop on a lot of these scenes. But yeah, so Alma says she doesn't trust her. They hear a creak in the hallway. Elliot investigates. They're still in the clothes they've been wearing all day. He's wearing that stupid jumper thing. Yeah. Oh, God. Mrs. Jones is standing there. In her doorway. So they're probably about, 10 foot from each other. And she's in her doorway, her bedroom. He's in their bedroom. And, she says they can hear them whispering about stealing from her. Right? And and he's, confused. No, we're not going to do that. She then says, you're planning to murder me in my sleep. And he goes... What? No! Don't be silly! It's like the most horrific. It feels like GCSE acting. It's so bizarre. Like, if this was in a genuine horror film, at this point they're getting killed. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? At this point, Mrs. Jones is coming for them, and she's going to murder them all. But it's what? No. Silly. It kills me. This is so weird. It is incredible. But yeah, no, and it's just they go to sleep. They go to bed. So this woman is clearly lost her mind. Crackers. And they're just they're like, no worries. Then it's the next day. The next day, Elliot's looking around the house and he knocks the door to what I assume was the old lady's bedroom. Yeah, so everyone's gone. So sorry, Alma and Jess have gone. They're not with him at this point. They're not here. No. There's somewhere. So he's woke up on his own. Now, we've missed an important plot point. There's a room in the house that connects to an outhouse. You can hear them as if they're in the same room because of a pipe. There's a pipe, So there's a pipe in this random outhouse out the back that you can hear clear as day for, I think it was for, to save people back in the day. I think it was something to do with slavery. Maybe. To save slaves, so they would, it's something weird. It's so stupid. It's a really random But yes, point, they use, Jess and Alma are out in this outhouse. They've gone through the wind to go to this outhouse. You never see it, but they're there. So, there's a doll laying in this bed. So we think it's her. You basically see the 90 feet. So, for some reason, he just walks in. I don't really understand. It's like Mrs. Jones, and then just opens the door to see her. And it's a bit like, why would you walk in with some an old lady clearly in bed? Yeah. But turns out to be a doll. It turns out to be a doll, and it's a trap to show that Elliot was planning to steal. He was not, but this is what she thinks. She goes absolutely insane, starts screaming at them, shaking like this. You need to leave, like proper human. Elliot's really shaken up by this. It's actually a pretty good scene. It's no, but I mean, it builds the tension. It's actually up until overacting is incredible, but up until that point when you actually see the doll, you're a bit again a glimpse of a great scene here. There was a point where I was a bit sort of I was getting a bit tense. And then it just shatters. Then the lady is out in her garden and she's saying, "The Lord is my shepherd." Yeah. Starts walking backwards. Yeah. Again, how? Because it's not overpopulated. Yeah. So this was the one. Obviously 90% of the theories have been ridiculous. But this was a big flaw. Because generally, once they kind of worked out a theory of it's the plants and they targeted big groups, generally it was pretty consistent throughout. Pretty consistent. Then if you think back of the fact that it's blown over a group of 5 of them, ignore them all. But I guess the argument would be this is the point producer is highest. Yes, but then I'm also trying to think that I don't know why it just targeted her. Jess and Alma went outside earlier. Yeah, no, fine. So it just targeted her for some reason. So she looks at Elliot. Plus, she was nice to plants. She was nice to the plants. Was actually wrong. Yeah. She looks at Elliot and he kind of runs back inside because at this point he's on the porch and he's screaming that they need to close the windows and doors. That's what he's saying to himself because there's no one else. Yeah, of course. There's banging outside and it's Mrs. Jones putting her head. Oh my god, yeah. So the house is rocking. It is there's this big wooden house in it and it is the whole place is. Turns out it's Mrs. Jones putting her head to the walls. In the door and then she just turns up in the window and And I mean, she doesn't even have it. She flies through. She puts the entire top half of her body, top half of her body just through the window. Gets up, and then there's the one bit then where because that one you can clearly see is her. Yeah. And then there's another bit then where she puts her head through another window, and it's so obviously a doll. It's just this really weird floppy thing just kind of flops into the house with all her wig and everything. It's phenomenal. So good. So she lets all the wind into the house, and Elliot's trying to board up the gaps with the doors, basically using little draft excluders. You can hear Alma and Jess laughing somewhere, laughing of all things. Yeah, it was weird, wasn't it? It's almost creepy. Yeah, it is creepy. Elliot's running around trying to find them, and then we then see that he's in this room that's connected to the outhouse. So he can hear him through the pipe. Yeah. I just think it's so stupid. It is such a stupid scene.
Mm-hmm.
I just don't get it. So he then tries to tell them to close all the windows and doors because you can obviously talk through the pipe.
Yeah.
And it's just dumb. It's
so ridiculous. Because obviously at this point now, the wind is clearly there. It's clearly peaking here.
Yeah,
so
it's outside.
Yeah. So it's all the doors and everything are outside with Alma and Jess, so they clearly would have been affected.
Yes, yeah.
You've got him inside with these windows smashing. Like the amount of time they had that would hit him,
and he blocks a little bit of them.
Yeah, they both would have been gone.
Affected by
this. It makes absolutely zero sense how they're both alive.
And then, he explains that it's happening right now. Mrs. Jones was alone when she died, so everything they thought they knew, it's not real. It's just happening. Mm-hmm. It's just going on. The wind is rustling through the trees, and then talking about their first dates. And
it's so awkward, but it is the first and only time
they have a connection.
There's a connection, and it's so bizarre because it's again like they're supposed to be married, but this felt like the first time they get together.
But this
felt like the love interest had grown.
There's zero chemistry between these actors. Zero. It's really cringe.
Yeah,
and then they talk about the mood ring and what?
So basically, his mood ring right there is orange.
Right. Okay.
At that point, it's orange. Whether it's supposed to be intentional or not, I don't know.
Yeah.
So they chat and then they start talking about this mood ring. So apparently, he put it on her. Basically, she didn't speak.
Yes.
Is the
weird
is the thing. He put it on her. It turned purple. But she was like, that means you're in love.
Yeah.
And like apparently made her laugh and blah blah. Yeah. Turns out she was horny. So they're a bit like, so funny. Okay. And then when she put on him, it was blue, which means peace.
Yeah.
Which is so like bizarre how she was really horny and he was just peaceful. And then they were like, we never knew what love was.
Yeah.
And I'm assuming it was orange.
It must.
That was my assumption. That I thought they would nod to it and just be like, "Well, it's orange now," but no, it's never mentioned.
Not at all.
But they just go, "We don't know what love was."
And then they're both crying, and because they know they're about to die.
No, it was an actual cute interaction.
It's decent. Yeah, it's genuinely decent.
An interaction.
Yes.
An interaction.
Interaction. He then says, "Screw this." He's going to go outside to the outhouse to be with them. He says he's going to go there. Mm-hmm. That's the thing. He opens the door, and they're also outside.
Yeah, they just open the doors up.
They open the door and they're also going outside. He walks outside among all the wind.
No, it is going.
It is swaying.
The wind is at its peak. It is going.
Winding,
the plants is going, the wind, the trees are going.
So they all kind of meet up. No, he walks out, walks into the field, stands there, eyes closed. Yeah. But then he sees Alma open the door and also walk outside with Jess in hand, a child who she is about to essentially murder.
Yep.
They all walk together. The wind is like 100 miles an hour at this point. It is flying.
It's like a storm brewing, isn't it?
It's going crazy. So they get together, they hold hands, and the trees are swaying, and they look around, and then we see it's 9:58.
Yes.
It's 9:58. That's what I was getting at.
Yeah, I think it did peak at 9, and then it just stopped.
Yeah, but it must have started. It must have continued the peak for the hour because this is flying.
Yeah.
But then, yes, obviously. It's the most it is 10 because I've also got in the notes the most sensitive time for the attack. But then they're back in the house and they're fine.
Yeah. So I think basically they tried to explain it. So I think we end up going back to the scientist who basically says it's. So I think he says it stopped at 9:30.
Yes.
Was the explanation that it seemed to have stopped at 9:30 and they were out at what 9:58?
Why wasn't it 9:32? That would have made for much of... Oh, they just missed it.
Yeah, so...
9:58.
Keep in mind now, this was probably... I mean, so technically this would have been... Mrs. Jones must have gone about 9:30.
Yes. She must have gone, within that time. Yeah.
So, they've had 20 minutes of them having this, like, really weird conversation. I mean, that's pushing it, saying there was 9:30.
Yeah.
Like, that's really pushing it. So they just happened to miss it by half an hour, even though when they were outside, the wind is very blatantly howling. It's very obviously at its peak.
Yep.
But just
and that's it. They're done. Yep. And they're all sat in that room where he was. He explains the event must have finished before they left their places, and that's that.
Mm-hmm.
We then go back to their old house where they were living.
So I don't know how long did it seem? It was like 9 months, maybe, or something.
I didn't even clock that. I thought it was the next day.
No, I think there was like a little thing, maybe like a couple of months later, or maybe like 3 months, 4 months later.
Okay.
But so they're back in their house,
and
wherever they're
getting Jess ready for school because I'm assuming now they've just kept her.
Well, I mean, her parents are dead, so.
Well, yeah. Did you clock the backpack?
No.
Her backpack was The Last Airbender. M. Night Shyamalan made that film. It's also horrible. Yeah, Alma and Jesse, I love you. It is horrible. There is no chemistry.
Because they show Jess the photo of her mother as well. What was like she had a photo of her parents, and it's the first time we ever see her mother. Yeah. Like real pointless cameo of her.
Yeah, it's so stupid. Then Alma doesn't take Jess. Elliot takes Jess to the bus. Yeah. She gets on, and then we hear the news say that certain plants were holding the toxins, and it had evolved.
Yeah. Yeah, but
it lasted 24 hours, and the newscaster says it's nature and we'll never understand. Yeah. Harkening back to Jake in the conversation to the beginning. There's no explanation to this film, and they didn't even try. No. We then see Alma taking a pregnancy test.
For some reason.
Yeah, and then the scene is just super, super awkward.
Really awkward.
Because she puts the pregnancy test, and she sat like this.
Yeah, and then she just...
It's like a solid minute and a half.
She's just there, like, sort of, like, looking over it.
Like a meerkat.
A
solid minute and a half.
It's kind of a little harken back to when Joey's ringing in the start. Yeah. You noticed when she was ringing it, she kept doing this all the time. So she's doing it for the pregnancy test now, which is just a weird callback. So weird. She cannot act at all here. Elliot's walking back, and Alma's outside like this. Yeah.
Doing a lot of this.
I know.
And I was like, what is going on here?
Oh, it's so strange.
And then they just get hug and they laugh. They don't even kiss.
No.
They just kind of like, ooh, and then done.
That's it. And then bye-bye.
And then we go to France?
Yeah, I think it was Paris.
Right. We're in France. Because obviously, yes, there's two French guys. Yeah. So we're done with Elliot.
Yeah, no,
Jess,
bye-bye.
They're done. They're fine.
Yeah. Happy ever after.
Lovely. Yeah. So then we get to France and... we hear a lady... Well, there's a conversation going on between two guys.
So it's almost the start of the film again.
Yes, we're almost redoing the event. Some lady screams, and the one guy starts acting really weird.
Yeah, starts repeating himself. He says something about a bicycle. Yep. Starts repeating himself.
Yep. Everyone's stuck in place. People start walking back.
Yeah.
It finishes.
That is it.
That's the film.
That is it.
I love it. It is something else, and I just don't know.
Oh, it's such a good film.
Oh, it is.
It's such a good film.
Out of all the films we've covered so far, this is easily the most rewatchable.
Oh my god, I could watch this again today.
I could do it right now. It is so fun.
I mean, the ending is like ridiculously.
Could you imagine a sequel?
Oh my god,
it would be the same film.
It's so anticlimactic way to finish, and to be fair for M. Night Shyamalan, no twist.
No really. Twist, apart from the wind was the killer.
Yeah, but that's not really a twist. It's more of like a trope than a twist. But yeah, no big twist where I was waiting for.
No reveal, no nothing.
But wow.
Incredible.
Wow.
So, let's jump into some categories. Yes, and we'll start with acting. Okay, so, acting. What are you saying?
Well, no, it's bad. It is horrifically bad. Again, as I sort of mentioned earlier, I'm not sure whether it was a creative choice or not, because everyone just felt so uncomfortable. Yeah. Considering, as we said earlier, with Mark Wahlberg, Zoe Deschanel, I think, and John Leguizamo, thank you. They're great actors. I've seen them in films where they're good actors. Yes. I mean, I've seen them in films where I haven't thought like, "Ooh, you're uncomfortable." Terrible, bad. Yeah. But they're just bad throughout. Yeah. There's no emotion in there. Everyone's so awkward with each other. Yeah. The interaction between people is so uncomfortable. Yeah. It's odd. It's really weird. They had some fascinating characters throughout it. Yeah. Obviously, Plant Man was a highlight for both of us, apparently. Again, baffling character, but very entertaining. Mm-hmm. But if we're actually going on acting, it is atrocious. I've gone 2 out of 10.
Oh, okay.
Bad. Okay. For actors of that caliber. It's awful.
Yeah, no, I totally agree with you. I do. It is terrible acting and probably the worst we have covered so far, I would say. But I think that's what makes this film so good. Yeah. Because if this was a well-acted film but still carried the same vibe that it was, it would be unbearable. But because everyone's doing such a weird performance, I can't help but be entertained. Apart from Zoe Deschanel, who I genuinely dislike.
Yeah, no, it's bad.
It could have been a creative choice to just be so weird, but
it's definitely the worst thing I've ever seen her in.
Oh, easy. And
I've seen her in good films. She can act.
Yeah, and I think she can, but like I've never loved this actress. Yeah. Never. But this is horrible. It's truly horrible. But Wahlberg is a standout because he is basically sleepwalking, but super over the top at the same time. Yeah, it is such a strange choice, and I've genuinely never seen anything like it. John Leguizamo is genuinely pretty good, even if his script was horrible.
Yeah, no, I can agree with
that. He works with what he can, and he's decent.
He's the only one who seems at least vaguely sad,
Yeah.
or interested,
Yeah,
or
interested,
he's reacting.
But obviously then we get Hot Dog Man and Army Man and all these golds. And it bumps it up to 4 out of 10. If I was going to if I'm being genuine, it's 4. If I was grading this on how much I just loved it, it'd be like 1 million. But 4 out of 10, it'll do it because I can't go any worse than that because it's so entertaining.
Okay.
So we'll go effects next. Now, this didn't really have anything.
No.
I can't really judge the effects because nothing really happens.
No.
We get the kill scenes. And they're decent.
Yeah.
They're just decent.
Yeah.
So there's not unfortunately, I have barely anything to say. The lion bit is a standout for the effects alone because it looked semi-decent. Do you know what I mean? But realistically, this film is just wind blowing and trees swaying. Yeah, but it does it well. It does. So I've gone 5 out of 10. Because it's just middle of the road. I can't say it's good and I can't say it's bad. Yeah, there was for me though. I never really thought about the effects, which again, there wasn't really much. It's not an effect film, is it? I never also thought like, "Ooh, that looks bad." No, nothing looked bad. Like the deaths themselves look good. When you could see there was a bit with the lawnmower. You'd see the bit with the pin in the start, with the gunshots, the holding the heads and stuff. Like there was, the jump off buildings. It was good for that. So I've done it. I've more judged mine on the things that were going on rather than the actual effects. I give it 8 out of 10. Okay, yeah, I can. There was never a point where I really thought like, "Ooh, this is bad." No, like we've seen bad effects. And this wasn't. There was nothing bad. No, I completely agree. Music very similar, just boring. Really, really boring. I barely noticed it. Yeah. So there was the beginning was super dramatic and over the top, and there were scenes of like when things were going down, it was getting dramatic, but it was really unnoticeable. I barely remember hearing it. So it's 2 out of 10. Wow, we hopped through a lot on this. Yeah, and I like music. So yeah, like for me, it is a weird one because the music and the film are complete opposites. Oh, 100%. The music is very obviously being a horror / thriller sort of thing going on. Like there was a lot of like tense scenes where watching it, obviously you've sort of seen the film, so you probably knew what was coming. Yeah. Whereas like I think I've seen it, but I can't remember it. So for a lot of this was me going to a bit more blind. 100%. And I enjoyed it because I think it did bring the tension up as much as when you'd get to the point. The payoff was never great. Never. Because it was always stupid and ridiculous. Yes. I thought the actual building of the tension was great for me. So I got 10 out of 10 for music. Wow. That is different, but I really liked it. Yeah, I respect it. I think it made it better because of how ridiculous it was. But yeah. Totally fair. I enjoyed it. Yeah, that's absolutely fair enough. Entertainment. Would you like to take this? I love this film. I'm very glad we're on the same page there. It is the most ridiculous concept of a film I think I've ever seen. Yeah. It makes no sense. Everything, like the acting is atrocious. The reactions to everything is atrocious. The quotes are just amazing. Non-stop. The sort of weird like balance of this sort of like really terrifying like disease sort of thing going around and killing people and what's actually happening with the actors like in the middle bit where it's as if like it's just another afternoon, just a normal day and they're having the time of their lives. Yeah. Oh, it's so good. I think genuinely some of the scenes, I think especially when they're going through Princeton and all people hanging from trees, genuinely shocking at times. Sometimes it can be. I can understand people, with we're not bothered as much about like more graphic things, but there was a few like shocking... I can see why people would be affected by certain things in this. Yeah, there was definitely some more shocking and graphic scenes there. I mean, no big twist again, as I said earlier, really which was a real surprise because I thought there was going to be a big like major, crazy thing going on. But yeah, for me, this film is absolutely amazing. 10 out of 10. Wow. I had the best time. Okay, yeah, I'm right there with you. I'm really so there with you. So, unironically, I've probably seen this film at least 8 or 9 times. I watch it way more often than anyone should. I will. It's just, I just love it. Like, there's no scenes that you could hate in this film. There's the odd scene that gets a little bit boring. Like, I'd say the dinner scene is a bit, I don't really care. But it's only when they start to drop any of that overacting. Yeah. That's where it starts to flag a little bit. But it's never enough to ruin the enjoyment of this film. I'll go 9 out of 10, just plainly if I was being critical for those bits that do tend to kind of go on a bit too long. Yeah. But other than that, this is one of my most... I could watch this film endlessly. I could quote it endlessly. It's just so good.
I think for me, a lot of the lulls as well, you'd end up with some banger lines.
100%.
So you'd kind of make up for like maybe the boring action sort of thing, not going on as much with just the most ridiculous dialogue.
100%.
So,
like the dialogue is just non-stop, and it is.
I generally felt by myself watching the time throughout, just because I was like, I do not want this to end.
No, I know. I kept pausing it, and I was like half hour in. I was like, thank God.
Thank God. Yeah,
I should need more.
This is so good.
Ah, it's incredible. So overall, what are you saying about The Happening, and could you recommend this to people?
I mean, yeah, overall, as I said, like it's such a good film. It's stupid, it's ridiculous, it's over the top. The deaths throughout are genuinely great.
Yep.
The acting is genuinely awful. Mm-hmm. The dialogue is outstanding for all the wrong reasons.
I would love to read the script.
I would love it. Yeah. I've gone 9 out of 10. I had the best time with this film, and I could happily watch this again and again. I would recommend this to everyone. Everybody. I don't go into this thinking it's going to be a serious, like scary tension thriller sort of film, and just have a great time with it.
100%. But I almost feel like putting someone in blind as well would be a very same reaction.
Oh, yeah, 100%.
Unless they didn't click on and thought it was serious, then maybe we'd have a different conversation. But if they clicked on from the beginning, I think you're in for one of the most fun times you'll ever have. As I said, there's some parts that just get a little bit dull. But when you look over that, it is one of the best, worst films ever. I would rate this higher than The Room and all those famous bad films. This is it. This is one of my favourites. 9.5.
Wow,
I love it. I love it so much. And as I said, I've watched this way too many times. I'd probably watch this over M. Night Shyamalan's good films.
Oh, yeah, 100%.
Specifically, I'd watch this over Old. Did you see that?
I didn't see Old.
Horrible film, but not even in a so bad it's good way, in a bad, terrible, awful way. This is just so entertaining.
It's my favourite film we've done so far.
100%. I would recommend this to every single person, because I can almost see some people buying into it and thinking it's good, but it is incredible, and I'm going 9.5 overall. Easy.
Yeah, it was hard. I kept it at 9 just because I was like, I can't. I got to hold back at least slightly.
Yeah.
But no, it could have easily been 9.5 to 10. Like,
it's just beautiful.
So good.
Okay, so to summarise, we both clearly love this film.
So good.
Recommend it to every single person, and if you haven't seen it, you really need to. And as I said, you can watch it. It's on Disney Plus.
Yes,
but
I watched it on Disney Plus.
I would really recommend just buying it, because it is so much fun. It's something you need. If you're a physical collector, just buy it. Why not?
Yes, so give us a follow on all our socials at The Feature Fellas. We're on Facebook, we're on TikTok, we're on Instagram. Like, share, subscribe. Leave your comment. If you've watched this film, please tell me your favourite bit of this film, because the quotes, the just everything.
Just give us the quotes.
Yeah, just leave us your favourite bit of the film in the comment section below.
And we'll see you next time.
You stay classy, motherfucker.